Coming to you from the 91 Sports Network studio, Western New England's voice for sports. Your host, Marquez Lopez.
Well, we are here on the 91 Sports Network show. As always, I am Marquez, your host. And boy, did Boston sports just have one of the very worst weeks/weekends that we've seen in a very long time. A very, very long time. Okay, we had the Celtics collapsing to the 76ers. We got the Bruins getting absolutely outclassed by the Buffalo Sabres. And of course, we got the Red Sox just coming completely unglued. It's a bad time to be a Boston fan. So let's kick things off right now with the Celtics. And you saw it. Saturday was bad. Saturday was real bad. The Celtics blew a 3-run series lead for the first time in team history on Saturday. They lost a playoff series to the 76ers for the first time since 1982 on Saturday. That's bad. Okay, I hate the way this team plays sometimes. This team lives and dies by the three. And in this series, they died by it. And they had no ability whatsoever to shift or manufacture offense in any other way. And you saw that in play down the final stretch of Game 7. Listen, the Celtics didn't drive. They didn't get to the line. They didn't create anything easy for them in those final 4 to 5 minutes. They became completely one-dimensional. It might have been some of the worst basketball I've seen the Boston Celtics play all season long. And at the end, it's what cost them the season. It's what cost them another trip to the NBA Finals. You know, we can't ignore Jason Tatum getting hurt. I get it. It was terrible timing, brutal timing, okay? But we have to understand the bigger picture. You can't risk this becoming something that carries into next season, right? You can't risk losing another full year of Tatum again, right? Yeah, him being out hurt the team, but this decision had to be made. Okay, there's a whole roster of players that won 56 games for the Celtics this season. It was their job to hit shots. They just didn't hit them. Okay? And now, because of this, unfortunately, I think we have to have that conversation. And I think you know what that conversation is. It's about splitting up the Jays. All right? I think that this has run its course, truthfully. I think Jaylen Brown wants his own team. Absolutely wants it. And I think that a trade gives Jaylen Brown the opportunity to lead his own franchise. Now, I'm not blaming this loss on him. I'm not blaming this series on him, not in the slightest. Okay, but a decision like this is all about the direction of the franchise. And I think that the window, for the Celtics with Brown, with Tatum, is closing. I really do. You have 2 Supermax contract guys on this roster. Okay, the Celtics already had to dismantle their 2024 championship roster because of that. They had to trade Kristaps, had to trade Drew, had to move on from Luke Cornett and Al Horford, all so that they could just stay under that second apron. Okay, I think that the Celtics have to reshape their roster in order to maximize their investments. Investing is how Bill Chisholm, the new owner of the Boston Celtics, made his fortune. He made it off of investing. So he knows more than anyone that sometimes you have to trade an asset or two for a better investment. And I think that's what they're going to have to do here with Jaylen Brown. Because I think we all agree. I mean, it's if one guy's going to go, it's probably Jaylen Brown, right? It wouldn't be Jason Tatum. But maybe we could send Jaylen Brown to his hometown Atlanta Hawks, which they've been kind of in a mix for a while here with their trade. Maybe the Celtics can acquire forward Jalen Johnson from them. Maybe their first-round pick this year, which has the 7th best odds of being the number 1 pick. And with what we saw with Dallas, nothing's impossible unless a fix is in, right? Or maybe the Celtics can work out a mega trade here. Send Jaylen Brown, Derek White, maybe a pick to the Bucks for Giannis, right? Who the Celtics, I mean, if you believe the rumors, they've been rumored to have been interested in Giannis for some time now. And maybe this is just the natural order of things here, how this is supposed to go. Okay? regardless, whoever they trade Jaylen Brown to, okay, this isn't a peanuts trade. They're going to need a top 25 player in return and some picks. All right, this isn't the kind of trade where one team is going into rebuilding mode. No, this looks more like a trade where two established teams, are just swapping star players. And I think that's what's going to happen here with Jaylen Brown. I don't know. Honestly, maybe I'm just reeling from their loss on Saturday. It's very possible. Maybe all of this Boston gloom has just gotten me down. It's also very possible. Okay, but I just can't help but ignore this feeling that I have that the window is closing for the C's. And if that's the case, then this next offseason for the Celtics is truly the offseason that's going to define the next era of Celtic basketball. And I don't know whether to be excited or afraid. I don't know. Time will tell. Now let's go to the Bruins. There's not much to say here. They were just beaten. Like I said, they were outclassed by Buffalo. All right? They just weren't good enough. They're not a better team than Buffalo. And Buffalo has zero playoff experience. And they're still not a better team. Now we're hearing about injuries they were playing through. Fine. But every team's dealing with that. Especially now. Especially in that sport. The real issue here is not injuries. The real issue is simple. They just don't have elite offensive firepower. They don't. Don't tell me Pasta. Pasta's great. We're talking elite offensive firepower. We're talking a true first-line scorer. That's what we're talking here. And the Bruins don't have that. They don't have someone who could just come in and take over a series. All right? They get strong contributions from their younger players on cheap deals. The front office is really good at doing that. But when it comes to the big money, spending the big money, they're doing it and it's not translating into star production. Okay? If you want a Stanley Cup, if you want to compete, you're going to need to get that guy. And right now the Bruins don't have him. So this offseason needs to be all about that. Clearing up some cap, and they need a true first-line scorer, all right, to get this Bruins team back to where they need to be. Has to happen. All right, now, it's a quick show today. It's a quick show. And maybe it's because I'm upset, okay? Maybe I'm sad, but it's going to be a quick show today. So we're going to wrap it up like we most often do with the lowly Boston Red Sox, who, may I add, are the most disorganized franchise in all of professional sports. All right? And it's showing in every possible way. Okay, Craig Breslow is officially on the hot seat, as if he wasn't already. Right now, he's officially on the hot seat, and it began the very moment that he fired Alex Cora. All right? And it's not hard to see why, right? I mean, look at how his roster moves are performing. Okay, he traded for Sonny Gray. So far, Gray has a 4.3 ERA, 270 opponent batting average. All of this before landing on the IL for 15 days with a hamstring injury. That's not good. Right? That's not good. They signed Ranger Suarez, who started rocky, very rocky, honestly. But he started to correct course. But unfortunately, just had to leave his last start early with a hamstring injury, much like Sonny Gray. So you have both of these guys on the down. And then there's the Johan Oviedo trade. We gave up John Stinson Garcia, the password. All right, minor league home run champion. Oviedo only pitched 3 2/3 innings. He gave up 6 runs, 4 hits, 2 bombs, and then landed on the 60-day DL with a flexor strain. These are the 3 pitchers, okay, that Breslow added to this rotation that had us all fooled to believe that run prevention was key and that pitching was a strength. Not only are we not getting production, from his investments on what Breslow invested in, we're getting injuries and we're getting instability throughout the entire rotation. This is just wasteful spending for a team that hates to spend. It's crazy. And then there's the position players, right? They trade for Caleb Durbin after they botched the Bregman negotiations. And, again, I mean, if you know me or you go back to the beginning with me here, I wasn't so keen on the idea of the Red Sox bringing back Alex Bregman. Not because I don't believe in the player or I don't believe in the leadership, but the availability. He always starts off slow. April's going to be a mess. All right? It just didn't feel like it was a smart allocation of funds if you're going to bring in somebody to play the hot corner, for the foreseeable future. But anyways, they trade for Caleb Durbin after they botched that whole negotiation. And what's Durbin hitting? 165? He's got an OPS of 502? I really hope those stats are wrong. That's abysmal. They also acquired Andrew Monasterio. I think he's hitting 217. Okay, aside from Wilson Contreras, the Red Sox are literally getting nothing from their offensive additions. Nothing. Zero positive impact. But it gets worse. Let's talk about the players that Breslow has moved. Okay? Chris Sale, he's pitching well since on the move. We got Vaughn Grissom for him. We then shipped Vaughn Grissom out. Vaughn Grissom never had a chance. He was never able to find rhythm here because he was stuck in this logjam. Above him was Marcelo Meyer, was Trevor Story, was Christian Campbell, Franklin Arias. Grissom knew that the path to the major leagues had 6-foot-tall traffic cones for him. Of course he couldn't get into a rhythm, right? But we trade him away, and now he's with the Angels, and he's hitting close to 300. All right, now every piece we got for Rafael Devers, let's begin with James Tibbs, who he was like the centerpiece of that deal, mind you. We traded him for 6 starts out of Dustin May last year. Tibbs is tearing AAA up right now. He's got 11 home runs in 33 games. 11! That's probably 80% of what the Boston Red Sox team has as a whole. And he's got it in 33 games out in AAA. And Kyle Harrison, the pitching guy, the lefty starter that we got for Devers from the Giants, is probably the best starter in the rotation for the Brewers thus far. This is crazy. The Red Sox literally have nothing but cap relief to show for the Rafael Devers trade. It's wild. It's almost, I don't know, it feels illegal. Like gross negligence. The way that they have constructed this roster and handled assets. I mean, this isn't the right way to do business, let alone run a baseball team. We're not done. How about David Hamilton, who we sent to the Brewers? He has a higher OPS right now for the Brewers than any of the Red Sox infielders. Let all of that sink in. Tell me, does that make your stomach feel bad? Do you feel sick? I feel sick. I feel sick when I watch the Boston Red Sox. It's depressing, man. And you know what? This is a pattern. Players leave, they produce. Players arrive, they underperform or get hurt. We're like the new Mets. Okay, this isn't bad luck anymore, though. Right? This is bad business. From a bad front office and a terrible ownership group. A terrible ownership group. Okay, the Boston Red Sox are broken. They are shattered into a million little pieces, and they're not going to put it together this year. And right now it's bleeding into the clubhouse. Okay, you got Cedar, Rafaela, and Trevor Story had a little moment a game or two ago about a play at second base. Cedar thought Story could have made a better attempt at tagging a runner at second after a relay from the center fielder. It was a good throw. I don't think they would have gotten the runner out, but Story didn't even make an attempt to put the tag down. I get the frustration from Cedar, but I also get the frustration from Story, which has carried on not just following the core firing, but from his slow start. Okay, this is all frustration you're seeing. And then there's miscommunication, right? You got Wilson Contreras gets asked about the slump, and he blames, the slumping Sox's woes on having a young core. Blamed it on the young guys. And then Marcelo Meyer has to come and shut that down, calls that an excuse, and says they all just need to play better baseball. And Marcelo's right. That's bad. There's just a bunch of different messages going. And you have a head coach who, and Tracy, who's not doing anything. Honestly, looking at his face sometimes aggravates the hell out of me. He just always has this smirk, this smile on his face. Like that, like, oh man, I'm in the big leagues now kind of feeling. And it hasn't gone away. It's like the lights are still too bright for him. He's just focused on being in the major leagues. Nothing looks like it looks like nothing bothers this guy. He's coaching a team on a $250+ million payroll that the city's ready to burn down buildings for. And he looks like he's on vacation. Nothing's changed. Pitching isn't great. Hasn't gotten better. The offense, it's still broken. Okay, and it's not just one player's fault or one demographic of player. It's everyone. Okay, the team is bottom third in average with runners in scoring position, bottom third in OPS with runners in scoring position, bottom third in runs scored in general. Okay, they have the second lowest batting average in the first inning of a baseball game throughout all of Major League Baseball. They are the worst first inning team in all of baseball. And they have the second fewest home runs between innings 1 and 6. This team doesn't just struggle to get started. They never do. This team doesn't start games well. They don't finish games well. They don't do anything well. It's depressing. It's depressing. Okay, and here's the truth, which is even more depressing. They're 13-21, and they have the worst record in the American League. Okay? To get to 94 wins, which is the baseline to win the American League East, they need to go 81-47 the rest of the way. That's a .633 winning percentage. That's a 102 win pace. It's not happening. The Red Sox are not going to win the American League East. Okay, now to get to 86 wins, which is the baseline of the final wild card, they need to go 73-55 the rest of the way. That's a 92 win pace. Now ask yourself, right? Do they look like that kind of team? Do they look like a team that could go on that kind of run? No! The answer is hell no. Absolutely not. There's nothing good that's going to happen for the Boston Red Sox this season. And now they're in sell mode. They may not admit it. Breslow doesn't want to say that because that means his job is gone. But the Red Sox are in sell mode. And there's going to be some things that happen next. Okay, Trevor Story is not finishing the season in a Red Sox uniform. Okay, and I think this is a move that's going to happen sooner than later. He doesn't want to be there. It's like no secret. He's hurting the team at that. I mean, he's been hurting the team all year, but now he's hurting the team even more. And Jaylen Brown, I think the same could be said for him. This is another guy who, if he's not gone in the next month, I would be absolutely blown away if Jaylen Brown is still on this team come August 1st. And I wouldn't rule out more moves either. Aroldis Chapman could be on the move. Maybe even somebody like Brian Bayo could be on the move. Because the harsh reality is that when teams unravel, like the 2026 Boston Red Sox are unraveling today, then this is what happens. They go into sell mode and acquire more assets and restart the rebuild. And that's what's happening. And it sucks. It blows to call this season over in May. But folks, this is the reality of the situation. The season's over. The season's over. And Craig Breslow, too, will be out of a job come the end of this season. I think that's the only good thing that can happen. The only thing you can do, okay, to salvage any part of the 2026 Boston Red Sox season is if Craig Breslow is no longer the man in charge of building this roster. All right, now we finish the show with what's to come, beginning with the Bruins, whose season is now over. The NFL Draft Lottery takes place tomorrow night, and the Bruins currently own the Maple Leafs' first-round pick this year. However, if the pick lands in the top 5, the pick will revert back to Toronto And currently, the Maple Leafs have about a 50% chance of retaining their first-round pick. The New England Revolution remain one of the hottest teams in Major League Soccer, winning 4 of their last 5, and they will take on the last-placed Philadelphia club on Saturday night. And lastly, the Red Sox kick off a 3-game series in Detroit tonight with Peyton Tolley versus Tariq Skubal before coming home Thursday for a 4-game series versus the division rival Tampa Bay Rays. Now that's a wrap for another installment of the 91 Sports Network show. I really hope that the weeks to come make me feel, make you feel, make all of us feel so much better about Boston sports. But until then, let's not hold our breaths, but let's plan on coming back right back here for the 91 Sports Network show.